Good morning. Good morning. Our generation, I fear, is going to leave the country to the next generation in worse condition than our parents left it to us. And I don't think that's acceptable. I think we can turn that around. I think it's our responsibility to turn that around. I think we need to continue that long-held American tradition of passing the country on in better condition. The answer about how we leave this country better off is our bedrock Tennessee values. We've seen the Fed run up interest rates 3% already this year, and the Fed chair has committed that they're going to raise interest rates until they beat this inflation. Now, the problem is the current inflation that we have is largely, not entirely, but largely government spending-induced inflation. And I and many others in Congress were saying at the beginning of the Biden administration, we've got to stop this spending that we're doing. But the very first thing that President Biden proposed was $2 trillion in additional spending. I think every sober economist and those of us who were watching it knew that in March of 2021, the last thing we needed was $2 more trillion. But this president continued down that path. And Larry Summers said at the time, in what I consider to be, from an economist's perspective, a Babe Ruth moment, he said, Mr. President, if you do this, we're going to have runaway inflation. He said that clearly, that succinctly. And guess what? Just like it was a script in a Hollywood movie, we have runaway inflation. Part of the problem is a supply side problem, right? There's not enough goods, there's not enough services, there's not enough labor to meet the demand of the U.S. economy. And so the last thing you want to do when the economy is not being productive enough is slow it down with a bunch of new regulation. And yet that's what this administration has sought to do. This administration has not met a regulation it doesn't like, to the tune of literally expense to the economy of billions of dollars and millions of hours of your time that are required to comply with the new regulations that are coming down. We have a crime problem in this country. Most of our major cities have seen the highest murder rates, the highest crime rates in more than a generation. September saw the highest number of illegal crossings at our southern border in history. The fiscal year, 2021 fiscal year, 2022 fiscal year, I say it, ended on September 30th, saw the largest number of illegal crossings at our southern border in history as well. 300 Americans a day dying from fentanyl. 300 a day. Think about that. Imagine if an airliner crashed today and 300 people were killed and another one crashed tomorrow. And then the third day, another one crashed. There'd be calls to shut down air travel in this country, right? Oh my gosh, we have a crisis on our hands, right? That would be the reaction. We'd all be petrified. Nobody would want to fly anymore. And yet 300 Americans die every day of drug overdoses. When we left Washington here 3 weeks ago, we had not had an oversight hearing of the administration officials since June. I believe we're going to see buyer's remorse be expressed in the elections, the midterm elections. That's very common. If you look back over history, I think since the Civil War, there have only been 3 elections where the party of the president didn't lose members of Congress in the subsequent election, in the midterm election. So, you know, history says that's what's going to happen. But I think when you see the issues that I've just described framed, I think the American people are going to make a change. Then I think what you're going to see is, for the first time in this administration, you're going to see them face some real oversight from the new Republican majorities that come in.